Hello, fellow drinking mommies. I'm Whitney, being joined by Cait today, and we are going to be
Yay.
talking about a very important topic to any mother out there, as well as just honestly any human being in general, and that's child abduction and human trafficking. A lot of you probably are aware of the topic that child abductions happen every day. According to a CNN study, they estimated that about 2,000 children are abducted daily. If not, reports are filed daily. And of those 2,000, last year the FBI put out a pretty disturbing number saying that there was a total of 424,066 reported cases of missing children. And that's just 2018 alone. I think this is every parent's worst nightmare.
Absolutely.
No one wants to ever be in a position where they think their child is someplace and then all of a sudden they never come back when they're supposed to. You never get the phone call, or heaven forbid, you don't pay attention for a few moments, you turn around and just like that, your child's gone. Now, with this number that I've given you, I will caveat that a lot of these cases are either endangered runaways or family abductions, which I know for you, Cait, being a single mom, this is something that is pretty passionate with you.
It is. Now, let me preface this by saying I do not think that either of my exes would attempt this, but it is something that crosses my mind. And I'm sure it's something that crosses their mind just because we love our kids.
Well, and there's a higher risk category, I think, when it comes to family abductions when you are separated. And a lot of it comes from child disputes as far as who's going to get full custody, if it's partial custody.
And then if something doesn't go your way or their way, that just adds to their motivation behind it. Their motive is just exponentially greater because they're not getting their child that they feel that they should have, when in fact it's the courts or their behavior or whatever it is deciding that.
Right. And so while their intentions may be good and they think, hey, I'm just spending more time with my kids, still you as a parent, it's terrifying because once again, you don't know.
Absolutely. So if I'm getting my kids back from a visitation weekend or an evening visit or whatever from my exes, and they're late and I don't get that text message, like I'm sitting there, I'm stalking my windows out front about 5 minutes of, because I want to know when they're there. I mean, I don't want them standing outside in the cold. I want that door open for them as soon as they get home. But if I don't get a text message saying, hey, I'm a few minutes late, be there at such and such a time, I start to worry. And now, mind you, that has only happened like once or twice. So it's not a huge deal, but it's something that I worry about. And I'm sure that they do too. So
definitely. We actually, one of my husband's former soldiers went through pretty much this very thing. His wife is, well, former estranged wife, isn't actually from the United States. She's from Germany. And so she took the kids and she went to Germany. And guess what? She's not coming back. And
absolutely not. And then that's a fight and a half for him to get them back.
Exactly. Trying to deal with agencies alone can be just a total bureaucratic nightmare, let alone dealing with other countries' laws, you know, who of course are going to side with their citizens.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, that international component just makes everything so much worse, so much more difficult.
It is. And in all honesty, I think it's a topic that we don't talk about that much, you know, and you have to have that level of trust with your partner to see if they're going to do something like that. And in all honesty, that's a rabbit hole I don't even know how you counteract that.
See, and I don't know either. Luckily for me, my exes are not, they don't have any sort of dual citizenship. They're here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. It's one of those fears that's always in the back of my mind. I don't think it's ever going to be realized. I don't think that is something that I'm ever going to have to deal with. But yet again, how many parents have said, oh, it's not going to be me, it's not my kid.
Exactly.
I think a greater danger for me, although I am a single parent, my exes and I, some days we're successful at it, some days we're not, but we always try to co-parent very well for the children. But I think the greater danger would be an abduction from a stranger rather than from either one of us.
I agree. And that's one of the things that I'm always thinking about in the back of my mind when I go out in public, because I try not to.
Sorry to interrupt, but like even with you're doing your firefighting stuff. So you're gone. So now not only are you worried about your son when he's with you, but you know what you're doing when you have him, but now you also have to worry about him with somebody else. And they do all of the things that you do to help prevent these types of situations? And what's going to happen?
It's true. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because this last fire season, when I got dispatched down into California, I had to rely on family and friends, because I would be on a 14-day fire, a day of travel on the front side, day of travel on the back side. That's 16 days where I'm not with my son, and my husband was deployed overseas. And no one, in my opinion, is going to be, and this is just my own opinion, but
we all might want to take a sip before we hear this.
No one's ever going to be as vigilant to my child's needs as I am.
Absolutely.
And that's just how I feel. And when I take my child, Gavin, when I take him to the park, one thing I can't help but notice is how many parents, and as we talked about, before we started recording, how many parents aren't present in the moment.
Absolutely.
And I hate to say it, but yeah, exactly. And I think that's just one of the dangers that comes with new technology at our fingertips. We sit there and we think, oh, I'm just going to quickly look and see if this person's responded to me, or I'm just going to quickly scroll through Facebook. And I know that even when I'm not in a position where I need to be watching my son, like he'll be at school, I'll look at my phone and think, oh, I'm just going to take a quick peek. And then 12 minutes later, I'm like, I'm still
what did I just do? Now I'm late.
Exactly. And so
I've done that in the mornings. Like that's what I'm so guilty of in the mornings. That's 90% of the time when I am running late. It has nothing to do with my kids making me late. It has to do with me, my alarm going off. I'm in bed and I'm like, okay, I'm going to wake up a little slower and I'm just going to like scroll Facebook or whatever. And then 20 minutes later, oh wait, my alarm should have gone off 2 more times, but yet I turned it off because I had my phone. I was looking at the time. I wasn't going to get distracted.
Right. And it happens. And so for me, when I notice that, and I know some people think not my circus, not my monkeys, but just as a decent human being, I will always look at someone and watch someone else's kid. If I notice that who's ever with them at the park is not observing them, keeping an eye on them, I always do.
Yeah.
Because if I'm a human being, especially if I don't have sleep, I will zone out and I will look at my phone. Like, I admit it happens. I would hope someone would do that.
Yeah.
And I think that as moms, we need to make that pact with one another and be like, just look out, just as a human being, it doesn't take much more when you're there,
yeah. I've noticed, so I just took my kids down to Florida. I went to go visit my mother and then we went to Disney and it was all fun and amazing. And there was one day, the first day we were down there, the kids went to the pool. And in the pool, so it's a big condo complex and the little pool for everybody. And my kids went to the pool, and there were 4 other little girls there. So of course, all the kids are there, and they're swimming at the time, and sat there, and I was talking to some of the parents, kept on the pool the whole time because number one, dangerous. So I kept my eyes on the pool the whole time, on the kids in the pool, but I literally kept going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where'd the 6th one go? Oh, she's underwater. Like, I literally just kept counting all the heads. Not that they were in any real danger of being abducted, because we were in a fenced-in area, in a pool, in a private condo complex, and there were like adults there. But that's what I do. Like, I just sit there and I count.
And
I was counting.
As moms, we just need to do that, you know?
Yeah,
and
that's something that I've done at the park. Yeah.
And so to anyone watching this, like, seriously, doesn't take that much more effort. If you're watching your child, just keep an eye. You know, it's at this point, whatever you think about the parents, whatever you judge them with, it's still not the child's fault. Just keep an eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing, and honestly, I was so guilty of doing this when I first had Gavin. I used to go grocery shopping with him, you know, and he had this little car seat that I put in the shopping cart. And I was really good about putting him in the car. When I first brought the cart to the car, I would always buckle him, you know, put the car seat back in the car, get him situated, then start loading. Well, when Gavin got older and he would be sitting in the cart, you know, in the awkward, you know, toddler phase, I'm not going to lie, there were times where I didn't put him in the car first, you know, because you're just like, I don't have any groceries, to try to throw it in there. And I'll never forget, I watched the video, and this is what happens. So there's a couple signs to look for in a lot of child abduction cases when it involves strangers. One of them is there's usually a spotter involved. So there's typically someone that is cruising around a department store or a grocery store, and they're looking for children.
They're basically hunting.
They're hunting, exactly. Predators, predatory behavior. They'll take their phones, they'll take pictures of the children, they'll record the children, and a lot of it is because they're sending information to a grabber, someone who can identify the child, go and grab the child, and there's usually a driver involved. So they'll grab the child, it'll be quick, they'll throw them in the car, and they'll be gone, like that. Mm-hmm. So before I even knew anything about this, you know, young mom, completely clueless, I was still screwing up so many things, you know, my first child's my guinea pig. And so I watched, the first ones have issues.
Oh, man. The first ones teach us, the second ones we teach.
And I watched a documentary that outlined all of this. And there were so many cases where the children were still in the shopping cart, and all the mom was doing, the shopping cart was right there by the vehicle. The mom was just grabbing groceries and putting them into the vehicle, and that grabber grabbed the child, threw him into the car, and drove off. Mm-hmm. I get even just saying that, but it happens so fast, and the parent is right there.
Yeah.
So ever since I saw that, my child goes into the car first.
And now there's definitely a huge difference. You were talking about the park, mm-hmm. keeping an eye on your kid and other kids at the park, and you were just now talking about the shopping cart. There's a difference between being proactive in this prevention, mm-hmm. a helicopter parent.
Oh yeah.
I know that we talked about parenting previously and the whole helicopter thing. There is a huge difference. I think there is a very big difference between proactive and not do anything. No. And grow on his or her own.
Right. And I agree. And, you know, it's one of those things where situational awareness is so important. If someone's following mm-hmm. you around, someone's taking pictures of your child. If you know someone taking pictures of someone else's child and they didn't enter in as a group, red flag. I have seen this crap before in real life, and I have said something. And you know what? In most of these cases, if you just call them out and yell at them in a public setting, a lot of the times they will just back off and they will just leave.
Absolutely. Because if they bring it any further, then the whole situation itself is going to escalate, and then they're not going to be able to do what they came there to do, whether it's for that child or for another child at all. They're not going to be able to do anything.
Exactly. So be loud, let it be known, and call them out. And you know what? If it's an honest mistake, you know, it's better to be slightly embarrassed about an honest mistake than it is to be in a situation where all of a sudden your child or someone else's child is missing.
Absolutely. And all you have to do is say, oh, I'm sorry, this looked like a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm and they are with you, for instance, and I'm taking pictures of the kids, I don't look like a threat because I'm a female, but that's what they do. And
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because a lot of the spotters are females, and people don't realize that. Actually, no, I'm really glad that you brought that up.
There was a comedian named Eliza. So I think Eliza. And I forget her name. She's on Netflix. She's amazing. So if you guys like, good laugh, hilarious. She actually had part of her skit about that, how females can literally walk up to a school. I think she said look at a mess in like hospital gowns and a pet raccoon, and nobody would bat an eye. But if any guy walks up to a school, that's when alarms go off. But it shouldn't be that way. It should be that way for both because of this.
It's true.
But,
women are just,
most of them are females. But I mean, even as I'm like, if somebody says to me, excuse me, why are you taking pictures of those kids? Then it's like, because I'm their mother, and that's my friend Whitney. Like, all they have to do is say, yeah, a little bit. All they have to do is apologize to me, like, oh, I'm sorry, it looked like a dangerous situation. I would much rather that happen than somebody to take pictures of my kids and then be put into a dangerous situation. Because if a child is abducted and murdered, 78% of those murders happen within the first 3 hours of that child going missing.
Right.
So if that's going to happen, we need to act fast regardless.
Time is of the essence. And
absolutely.
And that's why with a lot of these abduction cases or missing children cases, actually there's a really good resource out there for all of you viewers. You know, this isn't exclusively just for parents, and that is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And they take statistics from the U.S. Department of Justice, the U.S. State Department, as well as the FBI. So a lot of information that you need to know in there as parents, as far as numbers of who you need to call, statistics, as well as some preventative things. Head onto the website, and all you have to do is www.missingkids.com, and they are an impeccable resource. You know, we've come a long ways, I think, when it comes to using technology to our advantage to bring children home. One of them being Amber Alerts. I'm sure a lot of people out there know what Amber Alerts are, but for those of you who don't, Amber Alerts are specifically geared towards children, missing children. And unfortunately, the Amber Alert came about because of a girl named Amber who went missing. And things did not go well in her case. And unfortunately, we are having to take a tragic situation and try to do something about it. And you know what? Her parents are saints for that, because they were able to make some sort of good come out of such a bad situation.
Yeah.
And I see Amber Alerts all the time driving down the freeway. Honestly.
And on social media, you see them all the time. I see them all the time on my news feed.
And once again, I'm really bad with this. I'll see them and I see the Amber Alert, and then the rest is kind of a blur. You know, I need to take more time looking, because what you see usually is a description of a vehicle as well as a license plate associated with the vehicle. And as I'm driving down the road, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. If I look at the Amber Alert, you know, but once again, you know, it happens, and I need to pay more attention to them too.
And you're the exact opposite.
I do.
Sense. See that? And let me tell you, I don't remember the license plate number. I remember there was a 4 and a 7 and that plate. But when I was just down in Florida, not quite a month ago, a couple weeks ago, I was down in Florida, and there was a silver alert on the highways, and I was driving from Tampa over to Orlando, so I was going across the entire state. Can I help you, darling? My daughter's right here.
Hi, daughter.
Come say hi. Come show off your holy smile.
Nice. You can put a straw through there.
I know, she has been. Hey, can you go play, please? Thank you, sweetie. No, I mean like in the other room. That'd be great. Thank you, sweetheart. Sorry for the camera. So I was driving all the way across the state, and it was a silver Prius with plate for a silver alert.
Yeah.
Nope, it was blue Prius for a silver alert, and it was just driving across the state, and I was the one driving for those like 2.5 hours. So I was looking for that car the whole way, and then on the drive back 2 days later, it was still up, and I was still looking for it. Granted, 2 days later, you're probably not going to see it in the same spot, in the same state even, but I was still looking for it the whole time.
See?
It's actually what kept me awake on the drive home.
Hey, it works. You gotta do what you gotta do. So we're gonna go to one other piece, and that is the statistics. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, like I said, it takes statistics from all sorts of, groups and sectors of the government and kind of compiles them into one nice convenient location. And one of the big points that they bring here is that in 2018, 92% of the reported cases of missing children involved endangered runaways. And when dealing with that, there's so many factors involved. It could be a bad situation at home, rebellious phase. I have heard so many times when, especially involving teenagers, like, oh, well, they're probably just angry, they're probably just rebellion, they'll be back. One of the factors that involves endangered runaways is human trafficking. The U.S. State Department said that in 2018, there's an estimated between 14,500 and 17,500 cases of human trafficking in the U.S. alone. And a lot of these cases, if they're not being brought across the border illegally, involve children that were either abducted or endangered runaways who become abducted. And one thing I always try to do, specifically when I'm driving across country, is I'll go use the restroom at like a truck stop or, drive-through fast food place. I always try to keep an eye out for children who are in the restroom, just kind of gauge, look at them, do they seem like they're okay? Do they seem like there's something wrong? And there have been so many cases of children who are the victims of human trafficking being rescued because someone took the time to, once again, be alert to their surroundings. And they were approached by people in the bathroom. Like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? Do you know this person? Do you need, me to help you? Is there something wrong? And I know that gets into an area. It's like, don't, talk to kids in the bathroom. But honestly, there's a way that, if a child is sitting there and there's something wrong, you don't feel comfortable, asking them if they're okay in the bathroom, to
Mm-hmm.
at least observe them when they leave the bathroom, see who they're with. And honestly, if you don't feel comfortable asking if they're okay, what you can do is you can observe and then follow, record the vehicle and the license plate, and always make a call to the police.
Absolutely.
You can always do that. And there have
Mm-hmm.
been so many cases of missing children who are recovered by doing that. And once again, it's just knowing that you have options. And law enforcement, if it ends up being a situation where it was a family relative or a friend or there was nothing wrong, you know what? Worst case scenario, you have a law enforcement officer. He's like, okay, well, this checked out. This was okay. But you know what?
Yeah.
That's what they're there. That's their job. Their job is to help people.
Absolutely. And if you come across that type of situation, it's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to make that call and have to apologize or have nothing come of it because it's a safe situation that you may have misread, rather than you not doing anything. And now those parents, those siblings, those other family members are all heartbroken because that child is gone.
Exactly. And, honestly, a lot of the times it's a phone call. Make a phone call, record information. If you need to, almost all of us have smartphones. Take out your phone. Pretend like you're texting, Take a picture of the vehicle. If you have a hard time remembering the license plate, take a picture of their vehicle. That's all information that you can give to law enforcement that can help them.
And if you can't sit there and hold the phone up and pretend, there are apps on everybody's phone to take notes. There's the Notes app, there's the Keep app, there are a whole bunch of random things. And then of course there's always a text message. Text one of your best friends, just all the random information, and then explain later.
Mm-hmm. Or if you call 911, dispatch is great. 911 dispatchers are like guardian angels. They talk to you on the phone. They will talk you through it. You can tell them any information and they will type it in and record it in their computer so that information can get to law enforcement as well. So if you need to call 911, explain the situation, let them record that information. That's also incredibly helpful. And like I said, you're not going to get in trouble. Most cases that go in through law enforcement, a lot of them are false alarms. But you know what? They're not always.
They would probably rather have a false alarm than that actual situation have to come about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess the only other thing that personally I want to touch on, this is going to be kind of one of our longer videos today, but like I said, this is a pretty important topic. And for me, this is one that I have struggled to find a good happy medium with. Is my family were gamers, right? My husband and I play video games, and we allow our son to play video games on Xbox. Well, for us, there's parental settings that you can do through the Xbox to control the type of content that they can view, the type of games they can view. But one of the things that it doesn't really do a very good job at is controlling who your children talk to. And some of these games have an open chat environment where you can chat with other people who are playing the same game. And one thing that child predators have been known to do is to go into these games and try to talk and build rapport with children that they meet through these outlets. And so one thing, and I'm very unapologetic about this, that I do is I monitor, so I control, so his friends list, he can't have friends added to the list unless they're approved by me, people I know. With those open chat environments, I routinely go in there and he'll just put his headset on and he'll just start talking to these people, and it's not being the helicopter, parent thing. It's just like, I want to know who he's talking to, because my child is young, he's 8. So he's at that phase where he's understanding things at a more mature level, but that maturity is just not there yet. So while I can talk with him about child predators and things like that, like, let's be real, a lot of that stuff is going to go like this.
Yeah, right? He's not going to recognize that situation that he's in, because that situation has always been a safe environment for him. And now you are adding to him, it's always been a safe environment. You are now adding a component of danger to it. So it's not going to it's not going to connect right away. He's not going to be able to pick up on all of those little things that are going to be said that should be red flags to him. He's not going to do that yet.
And so if he was a teenager, like obviously I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't grab his head and say, hey, who be you? You know, like.
Oh, I would.
It's like,
you best believe.
When he starts dating,
Madison's not going to have any friends. Madison will not have any friends because they're all going to get scared away. Her mom keeps jumping on. Her mom's crazy.
I'm a cool mom.
I like to think I am, but I'm really probably not.
I don't know what I am. I'm still finding my mom self.
You're the cool mom. You're cooler than I am.
No.
Oh my word.
According to my son, I make him do too many chores.
Yeah.
Folding his own laundry is like a death sentence to him.
But do you give him an allowance for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
see, I make my kids do chores and they don't get an allowance for it. They just have to do their chores. You're a much cooler mom than I am.
They have to pay their way. Well, you know, and we all got to do our best judgment as parents.
It's only because I never have cash on me to give them. Like, who keeps cash on them anymore? Not me.
I try to keep a small amount, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not always there. And there may be like 2 or 3 months that goes by where I'm like, okay, Gavin, like you'll get paid eventually. You'll get your money, but
here's an IOU.
The IOU parent.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
It happens, but I guess to bring this horse back around.
Yeah. Sorry. Sidetracked.
I went rogue there for a moment, don't mind me. But I think a lot of this comes down to is be observant. Don't be afraid to say something. It's better to take action than none at all.
Absolutely. And definitely be in the moment when it comes to your kids, because not only do your kids notice when you're on the phone all the time, not only do you miss out on certain memories that you could be making with your children because your face is glued to your phone, but you're also missing some red flags that could be happening.
Entirely true. And those are things that you're not going to know if you're not in the moment. And a lot of people don't like to get involved either, but you know what? Like I said, be a decent human being. Keep an eye. Honestly, it doesn't take that much effort. Look for the Amber Alerts. I need to be better about it. I'm not preaching to you. I'm preaching to myself there. But just keep an eye out, because there are so many technologies out there that for a person to disappear in today's age, honestly, it would be a billion times more difficult by today's standards than back in the 1950s. Odds are there's so many people out there that have information that can help solve unsolved crimes, who can find missing persons, and they just don't know it. So be present, say something. Worst that's going to happen is nothing happens at all. Best thing that's going to happen is you're going to help solve a parent's worst nightmare that I hope no one has to deal with.
And if it happens to any of you guys, I hope that somebody steps up and says something in your situation.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Serious topic, long topic, like I said, but if you have any suggestions or advice, please, by all means, feel free to share them with us.
Absolutely. If you guys have any topics you want us to talk about, let us know.
Yeah. We're definitely looking for new topics each week. As you know, on Thursday is when we do our show. So let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you have any tips or personal stories revolving around this topic, we would also love to hear them. If you have any blogs, if you have any news articles that you found helpful, please share them with us, and we'll make sure that it accesses across all of our social media platforms. Because like I said, this topic, this right here is important.
And we will attach the website www.missingkids.com to the video, so you guys have that too.
So, you got any last words over there?
No, I don't. Cheers, maybe?
Cheers. We could do that.
Cheers.
We'll see you next Thursday. Thank you for joining us.